The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the translated voices of 200 species, each more agitated than the last. For 8 standard hours they had debated the Korthax invasion of the Valkyrian colonies. 8 hours of diplomatic protocol, procedural arguments, and carefully worded proposals that meant absolutely nothing. Lisa Chen sat in the human observer's seat, her fingers drumming against the armrest with increasing irritation. As the newly appointed liaison from Earth, she'd been warned that council sessions could be tedious. Nobody mentioned they'd be maddening. The subcommittee on military intervention must first convene, droned Ambassador Thelixon, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into nauseating patterns. Only then can we discuss potential authorization for— "We don't have time for another committee," shrieked the Valkyrian representative, her feathers bristling in distress. "The Korthax have already decimated 3 of our worlds. Millions are dead. Protocol must be observed," countered a Dravic representative, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Hasty action leads to galactic instability." Lisa leaned toward James Rodriguez, her military advisor, who stood rigid behind her chair in his worn Earth Defense Force uniform. "Tell me you're seeing this circus too," she whispered. James's jaw was clenched so tight she could see the muscle twitching. 8 hours, Lisa. 8 hours while people die because these bureaucrats can't agree on who gets to chair the damn meeting. The Korthax weren't just any enemy. They were a hive-minded species that consumed entire biospheres, leaving nothing but barren rock in their wake. 3 weeks ago, they'd turned their attention to the Valkyrian Commonwealth, and the slaughter had been systematic and brutal. Perhaps, suggested a serpentine Isthar diplomat, we should commission a study on the Korthax psychology before committing to any course of action. A study? Lisa's voice cut through the chamber before she could stop herself. 200 alien faces turned toward the human section. You want to study them while they're literally eating children? Representative Chen, Thelixon's tone carried artificial patience. Your species is new to the Council. You must understand that galactic warfare is not engaged in lightly. The bureaucratic process exists for good reason. Screw it. Lisa stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. James, hold my beer. She wasn't actually holding a beer, but James understood the Earth idiom perfectly. He allowed himself the smallest smile. Ma'am, you don't have a— It's a metaphor, Rodriguez. Lisa was already moving toward the chamber's central console, her fingers flying across her datapad. How long to deploy the Valkyrie protocol? James's eyes widened. The Valkyrie? Lisa, that's not even officially sanctioned yet. It's still in the experimental phase. Can you deploy it or not? Behind them, the council erupted in confusion. Representative Chen, what are you doing? Demanded Thelixon. You cannot simply— This is highly irregular. James pulled up his military interface, his training overriding his hesitation. I can have the EDF Artemis in position over the Korthax command cluster in 90 seconds. But ma'am, this is going to cause a diplomatic incident. We're already in an incident, Lisa shot back. The kind where millions of innocent beings are dying while we debate proper comma placement in a resolution nobody's going to read. You have no authority. Bellowed a Morzak general, his chitinous plates rattling with indignation. The council has not voted. Then vote faster, Lisa said coldly. Her datapad chimed. Artemis, this is Representative Chen. Authorization code Theta-77 Alpha. Execute Valkyrie protocol. Target, Korthax command cluster, Valkyrian system. Captain Morrison's face appeared on her screen. Professional, despite his surprise. Ma'am, that's a big call without council approval. Captain, you have your orders. How long? 2 minutes to target lock. 3 minutes total for full deployment. He hesitated. Ma'am, you know this is going to end your diplomatic career, right? Some things are more important than careers. Fire when ready. The council chamber descended into chaos. Aliens were shouting, translators struggling to keep up, and security drones hummed uncertainly, unsure if they should intervene. James pulled up a holographic display showing the Valkyrian system. Artemis is in position. Valkyrie cores are charging. What is this Valkyrie? Demanded the Valkyrian representative, hope and fear mixing in her voice. Humanity's contribution to galactic warfare, Lisa said quietly. We figured if we're the newcomers, we should bring something useful to the table. The hologram showed the EDF Artemis, a relatively small ship by galactic standards, releasing a swarm of what looked like silver fireflies, thousands of them, each no bigger than a human fist, spreading out in a perfect geometric pattern. Those are nanite swarms, James explained to the shocked council. Self-replicating, target-specific, and very, very angry. Thelikson's crystalline form pulsed with alarm. Self-replicating weapons are banned under galactic law, yes, Lisa interrupted. We're not signatories yet, remember? You kept us in observer status. The hologram showed the silver swarm reaching the Korthax fleet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the readings went haywire. What is happening? Whispered the Valkyrian representative. James checked his readouts. The nanites are consuming the Korthax ships from the inside out. Molecular disassembly. They're programmed to target only Korthax biological signatures and their technology. Everything else is untouched. The transformation was terrifying in its speed. Korthax dreadnoughts that had been raining destruction on Valkyrian colonies simply dissolved, turned to dust that scattered in the solar winds. Their ground forces, their support ships, their command structures, all of it gone in a cascade of silver consumption. Elapsed time, Lisa asked calmly. 2 minutes, 40 seconds, James reported. All Korthax signatures in the Valkyrian system are gone. War's over. The council chamber was silent. 200 species stared at the hologram, at the empty space where an invasion force had been, at the human woman who had just accomplished in 3 minutes what they couldn't decide on in 8 hours. The Valkyrian representative's voice broke the silence, trembling with emotion. You saved us. Yeah, Lisa said, suddenly feeling very tired. James, I'm probably fired, right? Definitely fired, he agreed. Also possibly a war criminal by council standards. Definitely a hero by Earth standards. Thelikson's form flickered with colors Lisa's datapad couldn't translate. This is unprecedented. Unilateral military action without authorization. Saved millions of lives while you argued about procedural minutiae. Lisa cut him off. So here's what's going to happen. You can censure Earth, kick us out of observer status, whatever makes you feel better about your bureaucratic dignity. But every species in this chamber just learned something important about humans. She looked around the room, meeting as many alien eyes as she could. We don't do committees when people are dying. We don't debate while civilizations burn. We act. And if that makes us too hasty for your council, then maybe your council needs to move faster. James leaned close. That was a hell of a speech for someone who's about to be court-martialed. Worth it, Lisa muttered. The Valkyrian representative stood, her feathers smoothing into what Lisa had learned was a gesture of deep respect. I move to grant humanity full council membership immediately. Seconded, came a voice from the Yisthar section. Thirded, added a Morzak. More voices joined in, a wave of support that clearly shocked the establishment members. Thelikson's form dimmed, then brightened with what might have been resignation. Very well. It seems humanity has earned their seat, though perhaps with less enthusiasm for unilateral action in the future. Lisa smiled sweetly. We'll try. No promises. As the council began the surprisingly swift process of granting Earth full membership, James leaned down to whisper, You know the Valkyrie nanites have a 12-hour lifespan, right? After that they just dissolve into harmless particles. I know, Lisa whispered back. But they don't need to know we built in a safety feature. Let them think we're just crazy enough to use doomsday weapons. Keeps things diplomatic, James grinned. Hold my beer diplomacy. I think Earth just invented a new negotiating tactic. 3 minutes to end a war. 8 hours to teach the galaxy that humanity played by different rules. And one career-ending decision that somehow became a promotion. Not bad for a Tuesday.